The climate crisis is already causing extreme weather. As it gets hotter, these impacts will increase in frequency and severity. We've already reached 1.5 degrees, and every fraction of a degree above this compounds the climate crisis. The faster we address this, the more hopeful our outcome. And yet action to address the causes, impacts or solutions for climate change are hindered by misinformation through climate scepticism and organised climate denial. Despite virtually unanimous agreement among scientists, nearly a third of Australians don't believe that climate change is real, and even more doubt the severity of the impacts or the efficacy of its solutions. Some of this doubt is sowed and driven by climate misinformation. Climate misinformation affects public support for climate action and policy to address climate impacts. Climate denial can overlap with conspiratorial thinking, resulting in an erosion of public trust in science. My name is Caroline Gardam, and I'm a PhD candidate at the Digital Media Research Centre at QUT. I research multimodal climate denial and conspiratorial discourse on Instagram. After a career in communications, I've returned to research to help address this existential challenge. Images have impact, and they can bypass critical thinking. Climate misinformation travels faster and further when it's visual or multimodal, particularly on social media. However, although there's been research on the visual representation of climate change, very little current research examines problematic climate visuals, and even less so from a multimodal perspective. Instagram has a multimodal vernacular. My research uses multimodal critical discourse analysis, which means I examine how all the modes of an Instagram post articulate together as an assemblage to create meaning. Discourse theory and critical analysis inserts a critical perspective into the misinformation studies. I combine unsupervised machine learning and critical close analysis to identify the visual signatures of climate contrarian communities in a dataset of Instagram posts. Since Instagram is visual first, I've developed a novel visual first approach. First, I employ the image machine, which clusters all the images from the dataset according to visual similarity. Alongside these visual clusters, I examine topical communities by visualising the strength and frequency of co-hashtag relationships. This provides a discursive overview of the field. From here, I ascertain what I call visual signatures that align with these discursive communities in the dataset. Finally, in order to examine the multimodal articulation of meaning, I select case study posts to critically evaluate how the multimodal characteristics articulate together to create the meaning. My research follows an iterative process, zooming in and out from corpus to post. It's novel in its methodology, and its critical approach positions it within the social structures in which it communicates. Initial findings suggest that this study's discursive realm is much broader than problematic climate misinformation alone. It supports and extends research describing an overlap between climate denial, chemtrails and other conspiracy theories, and problematic communities that are defined by their distrust in social structures. This has implications for policy to address climate and other misinformation, like vaccine hesitancy or the sovereign citizen movement, as fact-checking or appeals to science won't resonate with an audience that doesn't trust science or authority. I also map relationships surrounding a long-standing climate denial actor identified in the dataset through its unique branded visual signature. This extends scholarship and informs knowledge about organised climate denial. I've presented this research internationally at conferences, panels and workshops. I even interviewed Costa for the Digital Media Research Centre. This research has informed the Centre's submission to a Senate inquiry, which I was honoured to play a leading role in. Climate denial slows our response down just when we need to step up. Through research that looks beyond a binary analysis of empirical claims to the discourses shared within fringe communities, and by examining the multimodal ways in which these discourses are shared, this research can play an important role in identifying and addressing problematic climate information on social media.